What's up, Broncos Country? Welcome into the show today. My name is Moose. Thanks for hanging out with me. Now, on today's episode, after the 2025 draft is completely over, we do have to explore parting ways with some of our Broncos players, cut candidates after the 2025 NFL draft. Now, before we get into that, I thought this was pretty fun, and I kind of like to do this right after the draft is over, is kind of reevaluate where every fan has their team currently ranked. Obviously, we haven't seen any of these rookies play, so we can't really determine what they are, but based off of potential and I guess prognostication, let me know where you rank the Broncos right now out of the 32 teams. I'm going to go number 9. I think that's a very safe place to keep the Broncos, especially after Bo Nix led them to a playoff run a year ago. Okay, here we go. Our 2025 draft class was, you know what? A lot of people had it as like a C+ or a B-. I thought it was a B+. I'm not going to lie to you. I thought these were some really solid and talented players that could only add to the production that we put on the field last year. But let's start off with our cut candidates, and that, of course, starts with P.J. Locke. Safety, listen, after we got Talanoa Hufanga, I thought the writing was kind of on the wall for P.J. Locke already. And then we went out and we also signed Sam Franklin Jr. So looking at Locke's production over the last couple of seasons, I feel like he just didn't do enough. Now, he did a lot with tackling, but when he was on the field, he kind of just disappeared. And with two really talented safeties already in Brandon Jones and Talanoa Hufanga, I just don't see Locke making an impact when he gets on the field. Am I crazy for saying that? I mean, say this out loud. We are also going to get Jahdae Barron some snaps at safety. So that means you'd have Brandon Jones, Talanoa Hufanga, and Jahdae Barron, who would not play safety as a primary position, but I could absolutely see him sneaking in 5 to 10 safety snaps per game. Now, again, that's going to be all dependent on what Vance Joseph wants to use, but I truly believe he's going to get snaps at safety this year. So if you've got Brandon Jones as your starter, Talanoa Hufanga as your starter, and Barron, who's going to kind of play this hybrid nickel outside, maybe some safety position, he's going to be a defensive back. The writing is definitely on the wall for P.J. Locke. And I hate saying that because I think he's a fun player. I think he's embraced the Denver Broncos culture. But the truth is that when we drafted Barron at 20, this was kind of indicative of like, he's not going to see the field much. And that's just the truth. Plus, if you cut him post June 1st, you save almost $4.2 million in cap savings. Now, you could cut him before then and save almost the exact same amount. So a cut could be coming sooner rather than later. My guess is, though, it'll happen post June 1st just for, timing's sake and uniformity's sake as well. Our second cut candidate, Eyioma Uwazurike. And another player that just didn't see the field much last year for the Broncos. Only played in 4 games. And after you go back and look at what the Broncos added in this draft class, this to me this is so bad. Like these stat lines, they don't do anything for me at all. And they shouldn't for you, right? Only 11 tackles, half a sack, and he only played in 4 games. So he's really not even getting into the rotation. And again, an easy player to me that feels like they can just, slide off and thank you for your service here, but we are done. Plus, we drafted Sav'ion Jones in round 3. And Sav'ion Jones, although is technically an edge, his big frame and large body, you could kind of shift him inside if he doesn't have the speed to compete on the edge. And the Broncos' defensive line is still really good, right? John Franklin Myers is probably the guy that Jones is going to end up replacing, considering he's going into his last year of his contract. But T.J. Jones is an excellent nose tackle. And Zach Allen, I don't think needs, he doesn't need any praise other than what we've seen on the field. So he's doing an excellent job as well. I just feel like Jones is going to eat into Uwazurike's snaps. And he didn't have that many to begin with. So if Jones is going to be that guy that becomes your rotational interior / defensive end, then there's really no room for Uwazurike in this lineup. And that's just the truth. So this feels like an easy cut for me. Where will the Broncos finish, by the way, in the AFC West? Again, this kind of plays off of that question I asked you earlier where, hey, where are the Broncos rank in your power rankings right now? And I look at this and I say, right now I would say a solid second place. I feel like that's a very, very easy thing to say. But if there was one year where the Broncos could win the AFC West, it would be this year. I think the Chiefs are going to take a step back this next season after an incredulous 15-2 season just last year. So let me know in the comment section below. All right, our third one, Adam Trautman, tight end. Now, we went out and got Evan Ingram in free agency, and I don't think this needs to be said, but I'm going to say it anyway. The Broncos had the worst tight end room in the entire NFL last year. And that's not an exaggeration. That's not me being hyperbolic. That's not being overly dramatic. That is the truth. This is awful. I mean, your leading tight end had 13 receptions, 188 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Like, that can't happen. That's just brutal. And bringing in a guy like Ingram, who I'll say this, he's not a, game breaker tight end. But he's going to be a guy that year one with the Broncos, I could easily see him snagging 50 receptions, which would be a hell of an improvement over what you had last year. And the last couple of seasons, barring his injury last year where he only played in 9 games, the 2023 season, he had 114 receptions. Again, he's a receptions tight end. He's not a game breaker. He's not a guy that's going to go out and have amazing, blazing speed. Ingram was brought in to solidify and just bring back to normal this tight end room. And the cap savings, if you cut Trautman, $2.5 million post-June 1st cut. So to me, I look at this and I say another no-brainer here. He didn't do much for you last year when he was your number one. So with Ingram at the number one, I feel like you could easily make a 2/3 out of the other 2 guys that backed up behind him. So I'm sorry. I like Trautman, the guy. Again, all of these players I don't have any problems with personally. I just feel like with the players we brought in free agency and where we went in the draft, this is clearly the next logical solution. And speaking of logical, it should be logical that you went out and got our number 1 round draft pick in this year's draft class. Get his jersey. Jahdae Barron jerseys are now on sale at Fanatics. So here's what I did for you. I took this link right here and I put it in the comments and the description of today's video. If you want to start shopping with Fanatics and buy yourself a Jahdae Barron jersey, but maybe it's Bo Nix, maybe it's Audric Estime, maybe it's now RJ Harvey, you can go to Fanatics and start shopping, but with Jahdae Barron specifically, use this link in the comments and description of today's video. Number 4, Tyler Badie. Again, you're going to find a similar pattern here. Everything is predicated off of what we did in the draft and in free agency. Now, this case, I feel like, is another no-brainer. To me, RJ Harvey is going to take over RB1 duties very, very early on. That means Jaleel McLaughlin is a solidified number 2. And that means also Audric Estime would slide back to the 3 position where I think he would flourish. I made a video earlier on, maybe a couple weeks ago, right before the draft, where I said 3 breakout candidates. Estime was one, but not a breakout candidate like you would normally think. I think the role has to fit properly, and a goal line back / 3rd down back is exactly where he needs to be. Plus, RJ Harvey is just, I love him. I know a lot of people aren't high on him. I'll say it again. If you're looking for a Maurice Jones-Drew comp, this is your guy. His last season at UCF was insane. 22 touchdowns. He averaged 6.8 yards carry, over 1,500 yards. Now, I don't think week 1 he's going to be your RB1. So, which is why I think a comfortable spot for him currently in this draft room, running back room, is at the running back 2 position. But I think you're going to see, like I said, very early on that he'll take over the primary back duties. And that's exactly what it should be if you're taking a guy in the 2nd round. Now, the cap savings on Badie are not that high. It's only $960,000. So, again, not something that you feel like it has to happen so that you can save more money. But this feels like an easy move. In fact, the last 3 have felt like really easy moves. I think this is a pretty easy transition from where we were at just a couple of months ago to the draft and here now. So I feel like Sean Payton and George Paton know what needs to be done and then just got to execute it. Does that make sense? Our last final cut candidate, I just had to throw it in there for fun. Matt Haack, the punter. Look, if you draft a punter in any round, it doesn't even have to be the 6th. The Bears drafted Torrey Taylor in round 4 last year, who's like generational with his kicks. If you draft Jeremy Crawshaw, in the 6th round, he's going to be your punter. So this is like a cut that is going to happen. And I know a lot of Broncos fans were like, we drafted a punter in the draft in round 6, a punter, when usually most kickers and punters just sign on, right? They're UDFAs. This pick had Rizzy written all over it. And I love this photo right here. I had to throw that in for fun. So I feel like Rizzy is a very good special teams coach. Obviously, you saw him take over for the Saints last year as their interim head coach. So a lot of players respect him. They gravitate towards him. And I feel like he had some influence in this pick. So I can't wait to see what Crawshaw has as a punter. But again, could not be more clear, at least to me, that Haack is going to be cut. So just one final look at all of our cut candidates. Locke, Trautman, Uwazurike, Badie, and Haack. These feel like easy ones to me, but I want to hear from you. If there's a player that you think should be cut, let me know in the comments section below. I kind of wrestled back and forth with putting Troy Franklin on this one, and I don't think he's going to get cut, but I think with the drafting of Pat Bryant, I think you're going to see another player eat into Franklin's snap. So I wouldn't expect him to get onto the field nearly as frequently as he did last year, considering I think Marvin Mims is going to take that next step, Devon Valey's going to take that next step, and we, of course, are in contract talks with Courtland Sutton. So I feel like the Broncos wide receiver room is also taking that next step forward, and I don't know where Troy Franklin fits in there. That's going to do it for us on today's episode. Remember to subscribe, get down in the comment section below, and of course, like the video. My name is Moose. Until next time, be cool.